Everybody, welcome to another Be Built by Bros live from the Mecca. And on today's show, what I want to show you guys is some work for the shoulders. I want to talk about different lateral type movements. So I want to show you a few different movements for the side deltoids, lateral type movements that are outside just the normal standing side lateral. Some front raise movements that are outside just the basic dumbbell front raise. And for the rear head, some rear lateral movements, again, that's outside the basic seated or standing bent over lateral, so that you guys have some unique angles to hit the muscle at, do something a little bit different to stimulate the muscle. Of course, we'll also have an Ask Merlin question, and I also want to discuss a little bit about the loss of our good friend, Matt Porter at the end. Okay, so the first exercise that I'm showing you guys is a single arm incline side lateral. This is a unique movement for the side delts because it puts most of the tension on the beginning of the movement at the bottom portion. So this gives him a little bit of a different type of a stimulation than standing. As you can see, he's keeping the arm basically straight. He's on about a 45 to 50 degree angle, and he's just raising the dumbbell with the side deltoid right up to just above shoulder height. This is an excellent exercise for isolating the side deltoid and getting just a different type of a feel. Okay, this side lateral is also done on an incline bench, about 45 to 50 degrees. And because of the way his body is angled back, we're kind of hitting a unique set of motor unit pulls on the lateral deltoids rather than when you're standing straight up or sitting straight up. You'll feel a little bit more stretch on the side deltoids. Again, you want to try to move this strictly. You don't want to try to go too heavy. You want to keep the arms almost straight and lift up to shoulder level. Keep the palms flat to the floor, and you'll feel a really unique stimulus in the side deltoids. Okay, so here we have a single arm at a time, low cable, side lateral. And as you can see, he's actually angling his torso into the working hand. And by doing this, what he's doing is creating more tension at the top of the movement than at the bottom of the movement. So this is a great complement to the movement that I showed you earlier, the single arm incline side lateral, where there was more tension at the bottom of the movement. It actually makes a great superset. Again, you want to do the movement strictly and slowly, arm almost completely straight, and you want to stop at the top for about 1 second and hold and squeeze the lateral deltoid. Another great movement to isolate that part of the muscle. Okay, so this is going to be the first variation we're going to show, working the front of the shoulder, the anterior deltoid, using a barbell front raise, but in this version we're actually using an underhand grip, which is going to isolate the front deltoid a little bit more than an overhand grip. We're doing it on an incline bench set to about 65-70 degrees. He's lifting it out straight forward, almost like as if he's handing off the barbell to somebody, and raising it to about shoulder height with a slight bend in the elbow. This is a great way to use no momentum and to truly isolate the anterior deltoid. Gives it a shot. Okay guys, so this front raise we're actually doing on a low cable. We're using a rope so that the palms are facing towards each other, which again isolates the anterior deltoid a little bit more than an overhand grip would. He's leaning forward just a little bit at the torso so that you can get a better contraction at the top. And again, because we're using a cable, we actually have a lot of tension at the top of the movement. So you want to hold and squeeze the top of the motion for a second before going back down to the bottom. His arms again are just slightly bent, raising to shoulder level, keeping it nice and strict. Another awesome exercise to isolate the front of the shoulder. Okay, so this last front raise movement I want to show you, again, we're doing on a lower pulley. We have the incline bench set back quite low to the ground, almost about, I would say maybe 20 to 30 degrees. On this one, he's taking a short straight bar and using an overhand grip. And there's a lot of pressure here at the beginning of the movement because we have the way the body is angled here back. At the bottom of the movement, there's a lot of tension to start off. And he's raising up to the top, where he also is going to get a good squeeze at the top. Arms slightly bent, movement done very strictly, controlling the negative on the way down. Another unique movement for the anterior deltoid, helping it to better tie into the chest. Okay, now we're going to move into rear lateral raises. And instead of just doing the basic standing bent over or the seated on the end of the bench, here we're on an incline bench. I love using the incline bench. They're great for creating new angles on the muscle. We have it set to about 35 to 40 degrees. As you can see, his palms are facing back behind him rather towards each other. And he's just lifting up using the rear shoulder, the rear deltoid, to about shoulder level with a slight bend in the arm, and just getting that little squeeze at the top to isolate the rear deltoid, which is often a muscle group that is underdeveloped on a lot of bodybuilders. Give them a shot. Okay, the next rear lateral movement is a single arm cable rear lateral, standing. As you can see, he has the pulley set to about shoulder height. You can play with that a little bit to make sure that you're comfortable. And you want to make sure that you're bringing the arm across using the rear deltoid and not the trapezius. Slight bend in the arm like with the other movements. Strict movement, getting a squeeze at the top of the movement. On this one, again, palm is flat to the floor. You can experiment with the palm in neutral, normal position. Great movement for the rear deltoid to isolate that portion of the muscle. Okay, so the last movement I want to show you, again on a cable, rear lateral. We're using one arm at a time. Cable set at the very bottom. As you can see, he's moving his arm, his forearm is actually coming across his body to create a good stretch in the rear delt before he brings it back up. Slight bend in the arm. And again, he's lifting with the rear of the shoulder, not with the trapezius. Obviously, the trapezius can come into play, but you want to minimize it by thinking about lifting with the rear shoulder. These movements are great for isolating this part of the muscle. And like I said, it's often underdeveloped in a lot of bodybuilders and weightlifters because they focus more on the side and the front shoulder.
All right, Merlin, what do you got this week?
Okay, well, first I'm going to answer a question that I had gotten on my Facebook page, and it was about asking me what percentage of machine exercises do I recommend for each body part, each workout. I can't say that I recommend any particular percentage. I think that it's important for people to know that even though you hear a lot about free weights, being what builds muscle, and heavy compound exercise what builds muscle, this and that, while it's true to a degree, it's also true that cables build muscle, machines build muscle, because all of these things have advantages and disadvantages over each other. For instance, free weights, they work a lot of supporting muscle groups and stabilizers, to squat with a barbell or bent row. And that's a strength in a way because you're using more muscles in the body, you're building more strength, and you're building more power for sports and things like that, and of course affecting hypertrophy. But it's also a disadvantage in a way because machines take balancing out of the equation and allow you to isolate the target muscle more than compound free weight exercise would. Cables also have an advantage in that they allow for, since there's constant tension, they allow for tension at the beginning of the movement, they allow for tension at the end of movement. So if you're basically doing, say, a barbell row with a barbell, it's really kind of hard to hold the top of the movement and get a hard contraction and hold it with a barbell. But if you were doing some type of low cable row, you can get that contraction. So basically what I'm saying is that they all have their advantages and disadvantages, and therefore all should be included in your routine. There's really no specific amount that you should include one or the other, but I think that if you're doing a body part, and say, for instance, what I generally do in my training is 4 exercises per body part per workout. Maybe one of them will be a free weight movement, one of them may be a cable movement, 2 of them may be machines. Maybe I would have changed that percentage many years ago when I was younger and I was lifting differently and I had less injuries and things like that. so maybe I would have done more free weights as opposed to machines, but now it's kind of changed. But I think that they're all important and they all should be part of your workout. Don't set yourself on a specific percentage, but include at least one type of movement per workout. So if you're doing, I'm just going to say chest, include your barbell bench press, and then maybe for the second exercise, do some type of dumbbell fly, and then maybe go to the cables and do a cable crossover, and then maybe go to a machine and do a machine dip or a hammer incline press or something like that. And as long as you're getting all those components in, I think you're going to best stimulate muscle growth for the long term and also keep injuries to the lowest possible level.
Awesome.
Okay, so as many of you probably know by now, we just recently lost just a really, really amazing, wonderful person in the fitness bodybuilding industry, Matt Porter. And this comes on the heels of losing a lot of people lately. We've lost Dallas McCarver, we've lost Jeff Everson, we've lost Charles Poliquin. We've lost a lot of people just recently, and it's really, really sad. Matt was somebody who, I just want to say right off the bat, he does pretty much what I do. His main job is coaching people in competition prep, and so he's a colleague of mine, and I don't have a tremendous amount of respect for that many different people in this industry. It's really, I could probably count on one hand. And Matt's somebody that I've always had tremendous respect for, and I think that the way that I actually even got to know who Matt was is he had written some articles for Flex magazine about building muscle and about dieting, different aspects. He had written a series of articles, and reading them, I said, wow, who is this guy? I said, this guy really knows his stuff, and I agreed with him on so many levels, and his way of putting out the information was just so awesome that I just had a tremendous amount of respect for him. Later on, I got to meet him. Dave actually introduced me to him, and
we had him on the radio show also. Dan sent us that interview we did last year, remember?
Yeah, right. We had him on the radio show. Yeah. We've seen him at a couple of events in Vegas, and some other places where we've had clients in the same show, and he's just, I could probably speak for hours on this, but I just want to say he was not only somebody I respected, but as a person, just a really, really cool, down-to-earth, smart guy. Nobody ever had a bad word to say about the guy, and even towards the end, it's interesting because just recently, before all this went down, a few of his clients, and Matt, I should say, he only works with people, or worked with people on their diets. He didn't work with people on their training. And we kind of started collaborating a little bit with a couple of his clients, where I was helping them out with their training programs, and he was still doing their diet. And I have to say, a lot of coaches wouldn't do that. A lot of coaches wouldn't welcome another coach, even if they're doing something different, even if they don't do that. They wouldn't welcome another coach into their practice because of ego, because of jealousy, because of so many stupid things that we see in this industry. People don't want to see other people do well, but he was not like that at all.
He had good self-confidence. He knew his capability, and he believed in himself.
And he believed in himself, and he wanted to help his clients, and he felt that I had something to add to his clients and their workouts. And he said, yeah, Eric, awesome, I think this is a great idea, I want you to work with, and even towards, and most recently I've also kind of announced that I'm started doing workouts for Natalia Coelho, second place Miss Olympia, first place Arnold Classic, and most people would be trying to keep clients like that really close to themselves and wouldn't want to give any of that away to anybody else.
Next in line, man.
And she's getting ready for the Olympia, and Natalia and I were talking, and we were discussing her training, and we felt that I could help her, but both of us wanted to make sure it was okay with Matt first, because I wanted to not step on his toes. I wanted to make sure that he was okay with it, because like, it's a star client, and he had no problem whatsoever. He's like, yeah, Eric, go ahead, man. He's like, I think you could help her. This is great. I want to, and he was just so great about it, and that just increased my respect for him as a person. So I just want to say, without going on for too long, I'm very, very saddened by the loss of Matt. I feel like I've lost a tremendous colleague, that we've lost somebody great in this industry that a lot of people loved and respected. a friend, somebody who, you know, not that I was close with him and hung out with him and all kinds of stuff, but in my conversations with him, you know, we had talked about actually him and I training together a little bit, doing things. He's just a good guy, good friend, of course, now a wonderful father, great husband, owned a supplement company, and I just want to say I'm really, really saddened by his loss. So many people are saddened, and I just want to send my best wishes and prayers to his wife, to his son, to everybody in his family, and just say, Matt, you will be missed, but you will always be remembered and appreciated. I love you, bro, and like I said, I was almost there, Matt. You know, I was almost there. So I know I had my own heart attack last year. I survived it. I shouldn't have, but one day I'll see you on the other side, and that's when we'll finally get to live together. So peace, brother.